And Kit Lambert, our manager, had just signed Jimi Hendrix to our label, put him on, backing us up.
Jimi Hendrix's life was a tapestry, woven with extraordinary musical talent, personal struggles, and enigmatic events that continue to captivate audiences. Born on November 27, 1942 in Seattle, Washington, Jimi Hendrix entered the world as Johnny Allen Hendrix. His early years were marked by familial instability. His parents, Al Hendrix and Lucille Jeter, had a tumultuous relationship, leading to their divorce when Jimi was 9 years old. Following the separation, Al Hendrix gained custody of Jimi and his brother Leon. In 1946, Al legally changed his son's name to James Marshall Hendrix, a moniker that would later be shortened to the iconic Jimi. Growing up in a modest household, young Jimi was introduced to music from an early age. His father, Al Hendrix, introduced him to the sounds of blues, jazz, and R&B, exposing him to a rich tapestry of musical genres. Fascinated by the diverse sounds he encountered, Jimi developed an insatiable curiosity and an innate passion for music that would shape his future. At the age of 15, Hendrix acquired his first acoustic guitar from a friend's father for just $5. Immersing himself in the dynamic music scene of Seattle, he drew inspiration from local guitarists, turning their melodies and chords into the building blocks of his musical foundation. The key to Hendrix's early success lay in his dedication to learning the intricacies of the guitar by ear. By 1959, Hendrix had joined his first band, the Rocking Kings, marking the beginning of his journey as a performing musician. Balancing his passion for music with various odd jobs to support himself, he honed his craft in Seattle's vibrant music scene. These early experiences not only refined his technical skills, but also instilled in him a deep appreciation for the emotive power of music, a quality that would later define his legendary career. In 1961, Jimi Hendrix, seeking a way out of financial instability, enlisted in the U.S. Army and trained as a paratrooper at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. His time in the military was short-lived. His unconventional behavior and focus on music didn't align with military discipline. During his service, he met bassist Billy Cox, and the two formed the King Casuals, laying the groundwork for Hendrix's later collaborations. Hendrix received an honorable discharge in 1962, allegedly after an injury during a parachute jump, though some accounts suggest his musical ambitions were the true reason for his early exit. After leaving the Army, Hendrix fully immersed himself in the music world. He began performing in small clubs, eventually joining well-known touring bands. His stint with icons like Little Richard, Ike and Tina Turner, and the Isley Brothers allowed him to develop his electrifying stage presence and refine his unique guitar style. However, Hendrix's boundary-pushing creativity often clashed with the expectations of these established acts. For instance, his flamboyant onstage antics, such as playing the guitar behind his head or with his teeth, were seen as disruptive by more traditional band leaders. These disagreements led him to part ways with several groups. By 1964, Hendrix had relocated to New York City, where he continued performing in the club circuit under the stage name Jimi James. He formed a short-lived band, Jimi James and the Blue Flames, and began experimenting with blending R&B, rock, and blues influences. His performances began to draw attention, but his big break came in 1966 when Chas Chandler, bassist for The Animals, saw him perform at Café Wah in Greenwich Village. Chandler, impressed by Hendrix's talent and charisma, offered to become his manager and invited him to London, a pivotal moment in Hendrix's career. Arriving in London, Hendrix quickly made waves in the vibrant British music scene. Chandler helped him assemble the Jimi Hendrix Experience, a power trio featuring bassist Noel Redding and drummer Mitch Mitchell. The band's debut single, Hey Joe, released in late 1966, became a massive hit in the UK. Their follow-up singles, Purple Haze and The Wind Cries Mary, solidified Hendrix's reputation as a groundbreaking artist. In 1967, the Jimi Hendrix Experience released their debut album, Are You Experienced?, which featured revolutionary tracks like Foxy Lady and Manic Depression. The album was a critical and commercial success, showcasing Hendrix's innovative guitar techniques, including his use of feedback, distortion, and the wah-wah pedal. His music defied categorization, blending rock, blues, soul, and psychedelia into a genre-defining sound. Hendrix's performances were equally transformative. At the Monterey Pop Festival in June 1967, he delivered a career-defining set that ended with his now iconic act of setting his guitar on fire. This moment cemented his reputation as a guitar god and a showman who wasn't afraid to push artistic boundaries. By the end of 1967, Hendrix had become a household name in Europe and was beginning to conquer the US music scene. The combination of his technical prowess, innovative sound, and magnetic stage presence propelled Hendrix to superstardom. Yet, beneath the surface, the pressures of fame and relentless touring began to weigh heavily on him, setting the stage for the challenges he would face in the years to come. Jimi Hendrix's meteoric rise to fame was accompanied by moments of controversy that both shocked and fascinated the public. Hendrix's artistry was unconventional, and he often challenged societal norms, making him a polarizing figure. One of the most infamous incidents occurred on January 4, 1969, during a live broadcast of the BBC's Happening for Lulu. The Jimi Hendrix Experience was scheduled to perform their hit song, Hey Joe, followed by a duet with host Lulu on Sunshine of Your Love, as a tribute to Cream, who had recently disbanded. Instead, Hendrix unexpectedly announced, "We'd like to stop playing this rubbish and dedicate a song to Cream, regardless of what kind of group they may be in the future," before launching into an impromptu, extended jam session. The producers were furious, cutting the broadcast short, and Hendrix was subsequently banned from the BBC, a bold move that only added to his rebellious image. Another controversial moment came at the Woodstock Music and Art Fair in August 1969, where Hendrix delivered a now legendary rendition of The Star-Spangled Banner. Using feedback, distortion, and his signature guitar wizardry, Hendrix transformed the national anthem into a haunting commentary on the chaos of the Vietnam War. While many saw it as a powerful statement reflecting the turbulence of the era, others criticized it as unpatriotic. Hendrix later defended the performance, explaining that it was a love letter to America, albeit one tinged with the pain of its imperfections. Hendrix also faced backlash for his flamboyant stage presence and lifestyle, which included wearing vibrant, gender-fluid clothing that defied traditional expectations of masculinity. His unique fashion sense, combined with his interracial relationships, often drew criticism, especially in the United States, where racial tensions were still high during the civil rights movement. Hendrix, however, remained unapologetic, embodying the countercultural ethos of the late 1960s. Despite his groundbreaking artistry, Hendrix's controversial actions sometimes strained his relationships within the music industry. Record labels and promoters, while eager to capitalize on his fame, often struggled with his unpredictability. His refusal to conform to conventional expectations only deepened his mystique, but also highlighted the growing disconnect between Hendrix and the pressures of commercial success. Through these controversies, Hendrix continued to challenge societal norms and push the boundaries of what was considered acceptable in both music and culture. These moments cemented his status as not only a musical genius but also a symbol of rebellion and artistic freedom. However, his defiance came at a cost, as it amplified the scrutiny and pressure he faced, contributing to the personal struggles that would later define his tragic downfall. Behind the dazzling performances and trailblazing music, Jimi Hendrix faced profound personal struggles that deeply affected his life and career. While his rise to fame seemed meteoric, the pressures that accompanied his success were immense and often overwhelming. Hendrix's childhood instability left lasting scars that influenced his adult relationships and mental health. Growing up in a fractured household, with a largely absent mother and a disciplinarian father, he developed a deep sense of insecurity and a longing for connection. These early experiences shaped Hendrix's introverted and often private nature, despite his larger-than-life stage persona. As Hendrix's fame grew, so did the demands placed on him by his record label, managers, and fans. The constant touring, long hours in the studio, and endless media appearances took a toll on his physical and emotional well-being. Hendrix once remarked, "It's funny the way most people love the dead. Once you are dead, you are made for life." This poignant statement reflected his growing disillusionment with the superficial nature of fame and the lack of genuine support from those around him. Substance use became a coping mechanism for Hendrix as he navigated the relentless pressures of stardom. Drugs and alcohol were deeply embedded in the rock and roll culture of the 1960s, and Hendrix was no exception. While his experimentation with psychedelics was often linked to his creative process, the darker side of his substance use began to emerge. Reports of erratic behavior, missed performances, and strained relationships became increasingly common as he struggled to manage his growing dependence. Hendrix also battled feelings of isolation, even among close friends and collaborators. Despite his widespread acclaim, he often felt misunderstood, particularly when it came to his music. Critics and industry executives frequently tried to box him into the role of a rock guitarist, but Hendrix envisioned his work as an exploration of broader musical landscapes, blending rock, blues, funk, and jazz in innovative ways. This disconnect between his artistic ambitions and the industry's expectations contributed to his frustration and sense of alienation. His relationships, both personal and professional, were also fraught with challenges. Hendrix's romantic life was complicated by the demands of his career and his struggles with trust. Many of his close partnerships, including with bandmates Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell, became strained over time. Creative differences, financial disputes, and the grueling nature of constant touring often led to conflict within the band. Despite these struggles, Hendrix maintained an almost otherworldly dedication to his craft. He poured his pain, frustrations, and hopes into his music, creating some of the most groundbreaking works of the era. However, the intense pressure to constantly innovate, coupled with his personal demons, took a significant toll on his mental health. Hendrix's personal struggles were emblematic of the challenges faced by many artists who rise to fame too quickly, navigating a world that demands constant output while offering little support. His journey was a delicate balance between brilliance and burden, a duality that would define both his life and his legacy. Unfortunately, these struggles would later play a role in the events leading to his untimely death. As Jimi Hendrix's fame skyrocketed, his life off stage became increasingly turbulent, marked by brushes with the law that captured headlines and added to his enigmatic image. Among the most significant legal challenges he faced was his arrest for drug possession in May 1969, an incident that would shadow his career and fuel conspiracy theories about the forces working against him. On May 3, 1969, while passing through Toronto's Pearson International Airport, Hendrix was detained by customs officials who discovered a small quantity of heroin and hashish in his luggage. The arrest sent shockwaves through the music world, as Hendrix was at the height of his fame and preparing for a performance that evening. Hendrix vehemently denied the drugs were his, claiming they had been planted in his belongings. Many of his fans and supporters believed his explanation, pointing to the possibility of a setup, a not uncommon occurrence for countercultural figures during the politically charged 1960s. The subsequent trial became a high-profile affair, with Hendrix's legal team arguing that he had no prior record of drug possession and had passed through numerous international customs checks without incident. Hendrix himself took the stand, presenting a composed and sincere demeanor. He testified that while he had experimented with drugs in the past, he was trying to leave that lifestyle behind. His performance at the trial, coupled with the lack of concrete evidence tying him directly to the substances, ultimately led to his acquittal in December 1969. However, the ordeal left a lasting impact on Hendrix, exacerbating his distrust of authority and heightening his sense of vulnerability. The Toronto incident was not an isolated case of Hendrix clashing with the law. In the years leading up to his death, he found himself in several altercations, often fueled by the chaotic environment surrounding his fame. His unpredictable behavior, at times influenced by substance use and the intense pressures of his career, occasionally resulted in public disturbances and confrontations. For instance, he was arrested in Stockholm in 1968 after an altercation in a hotel room, reportedly smashing furniture in a fit of frustration. These legal entanglements highlighted the darker side of Hendrix's life in the spotlight. While his musical genius captivated millions, his personal struggles and high-profile run-ins with the law painted a more complex picture of a man grappling with the weight of his own stardom. Fans and historians have speculated that the constant scrutiny from law enforcement, combined with his unconventional lifestyle and association with the counterculture, made Hendrix a target during a time when the establishment was wary of influential figures challenging societal norms. Despite these challenges, Hendrix's resilience shone through. Each time he faced legal trouble, he returned to the stage with renewed determination, channeling his emotions into performances that left audiences awestruck. However, the mounting stress from these incidents added to the already heavy burdens he carried, further complicating his personal and professional life. The legal battles Hendrix faced were emblematic of the turbulent times in which he lived. They also underscored the stark contrast between his revolutionary music and the societal structures that sought to control or suppress figures like him. These experiences not only shaped Hendrix's worldview, but also contributed to the mystique that surrounds his legacy to this day. Jimi Hendrix's untimely death on September 18, 1970, remains one of the most enduring mysteries in rock history, sparking decades of speculation, conspiracy theories, and unanswered questions. Officially, Hendrix died at the age of 27 in London, a member of the so-called 27 Club of musicians who passed away at this hauntingly young age. While the official cause of death was recorded as asphyxiation due to aspiration of vomit, compounded by barbiturate intoxication, the events leading to his demise have been the subject of intense scrutiny and debate. On the evening of September 17th, Hendrix spent time with Monika Dannemann, a German figure skater and his then-girlfriend, at her London apartment. Accounts suggest Hendrix was in good spirits earlier in the evening but became restless and reportedly took a handful of Vesparax, a powerful barbiturate prescribed to Dannemann. Vesparax was a potent sleeping pill, and Hendrix, unfamiliar with its strength, is believed to have consumed more than the recommended dose. Dannemann claimed she left him to sleep while she stepped out for a short time, only to return and find him unresponsive. The timeline and details surrounding Hendrix's death remain murky, largely due to conflicting reports and a chaotic emergency response. Some witnesses allege that it took hours for an ambulance to be called and that critical information about the circumstances was omitted in the initial investigation. The paramedics who arrived at the scene found Hendrix unconscious and unresponsive, his airways blocked by vomit, and he was declared dead shortly after arriving at St. Mary Abbott's Hospital. In the aftermath, rumors and conspiracy theories quickly emerged, fueling the mystery. Some speculated that Hendrix's death was accidental, the result of an unintended overdose exacerbated by alcohol consumption. Others suggested foul play, alleging that he may have been murdered, or that his death was orchestrated by individuals with ulterior motives. Dannemann herself became a controversial figure, with critics questioning the accuracy of her account and the role she may have played in Hendrix's final hours. One particularly sensational theory posits that Hendrix's death was the result of a targeted effort to silence him, possibly due to his growing influence as both a musician and a cultural figure. During the 1960s, artists like Hendrix were viewed as countercultural icons, and some theorists argue that authorities or clandestine groups sought to eliminate such figures to suppress their influence on society. While these claims lack concrete evidence, they underscore the aura of mystery surrounding his passing. Adding to the confusion, inconsistencies in the autopsy report and the lack of a thorough inquest left many questions unanswered. Friends and colleagues of Hendrix have also weighed in over the years, with some expressing doubts about the official version of events. Eric Burden of The Animals, a close associate of Hendrix, publicly stated that he believed Hendrix's death was a deliberate act, though this interpretation remains highly contested. Despite the lingering mysteries, one thing is clear. Jimi Hendrix's death marked the tragic end of a life and career filled with unparalleled creativity and influence. At the time of his passing, Hendrix was exploring new musical directions, planning to collaborate with jazz legend Miles Davis, and contemplating a broader role in the fight for social justice. His loss was deeply felt not only in the music world, but also among the millions who saw him as a beacon of artistic freedom and cultural revolution. The unanswered questions surrounding Hendrix's death have only added to his mystique, ensuring that his legacy remains as enigmatic as it is enduring. Today, fans continue to honor his memory, not just for his groundbreaking contributions to music, but also for the indelible mark he left on the world, a legacy shaped as much by his life as by the mysteries that still surround his untimely demise.